Good morning. This is the Daily Wrestling News for March 25th, 2021, and we are powered by the Eastern Observer. My name is Ryan Joy, and I'm coming to you live from Minutes to Bell Time Studio on the beautiful Treasure Coast of the Sunshine State. I'm joined today by John Smith, and we're going to run through everything in NXT and Dynamite. John, how's it going today?
Great, man. Once I saw Shawn Michaels come out and put that ladder in the ring, everything has been easy peasy for me since then. I'm looking forward to that match.
Now, I have gone on record saying that I walk around my house exclusively in Penta El Zero Miedo's, walk. That's how I move about my house. Do you now, since you've heard Shawn Michaels last night, you're only dancing around like the boy toy?
Yeah, I accidentally super kicked my son this morning too.
Because he wouldn't get out of bed or what?
Yeah, right.
Awesome. Well, like I said, we have a lot to get into. There's a bunch of news to talk about, including new Hall of Famers and reality shows and everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and ring the bell, and we'll get into it.
Let's do it.
But we start our show with the ridiculously random question, which is brought to you by Pro Wrestling Pick'em. It's a place where you can join or host a Pick'em league to test your predictive skills in the world of pro wrestling. Create an account and join a league now at ProWrestlingPick'em.com so you can play against your friends or play against the universe. And there's a whole bunch of matches to pick between Takeover and WrestleMania and everything else. Hardcore Justice, I imagine, is going to have some matches announced at some point. So lots and lots and lots to pick and have fun with out there on Pro Wrestling Pick'em. So join them. And before we get into all the wrestling of the day, John, I want to know. The fans want to know. Everybody wants to know what the strangest thing in your refrigerator is today.
This is a rough one because I don't keep too much in my fridge, but I'm going to have to go with the little tiny packets of hummus, like individual size hummus packets. And I've never even eaten hummus. My son likes it. Like the smell of it, I can't even take the smell of it. So like that and yogurt are two things in my fridge that I've never even eaten because of the smell of it. And my son loves them both.
It's like a torture for you, I guess, your son.
Yeah.
I have the other day I juiced ginger and turmeric and a bunch of cayenne pepper and stuff like that. And that's rather than drink it, I put it in the fridge and let it sit there.
Yeah, that's got a one-way ticket straight through you.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to help with inflammation and whatnot. So whatever. Anyway, pro wrestling. That's why we're here. And we have a bunch of news. So the day started yesterday. We talked about Hall of Fame on yesterday's show. When as soon as we went off the air, we got the notice that Kane was going into the Hall of Fame. And then shortly after that, we got the news that Great Khali was going into the Hall of Fame. So no word on RVD yet. But, John, those are pretty good inductees, I think, especially Kane.
Yeah, Kane, I guess, is going to be probably the main guy. Each year you got a main guy, and then you got some like B and C level guys and girls. And It looks like Kane's going to be the A level, and Khali's going to be the C level because I think Khali is proof that anybody can make the Hall of Fame at this point. It's he didn't do much.
There's certain guys, I think, that get in the Hall of Fame, not based on what they did, but what they did afterwards. And I think they credit him a lot with the recruitment and the training in India. So I think that's kind of the angle that's coming from. But, yes, agreed. He's no – it's really funny when you compare Kane and Khali, right? Those are two different careers.
Yeah, I mean, Khali came in a time when it was, wrestling has its ebbs and flows, and they were definitely on a downward point when he came in, and that's really much the only reason they had a spot for him in the first place. Guy could barely walk.
Yes, yeah. But when he did walk, he was over 7 foot tall.
Yeah, exactly.
And when he sat down, he was still over 6 foot tall. Like I said, still no official word on RVD, but that's what everybody says. RVD is going to go in, and maybe he'll be a main eventer as well.
Yeah.
TNT, and I won't ask you to comment on this, John, because I know how you feel probably to the start, but TNT ordered a new reality show called Roads to the Top, starring Cody and Brandy Rhodes.
Yeah, I thought they were going to call this one Myth and Mythith.
Yeah, it's we have a lot of wrestling reality shows between Total Bellas and Ms. and Mrs. and Roads to the Top and Impact Wrestling on Access TV. So
Don't forget Wrestle House.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. The whole show is a reality show.
Yeah.
Also, in regards to Impact, they moved the Rebellion date from April 24th to April 25th. I don't know why they did this, but they did. They moved it from Saturday to Sunday. But Hardcore Justice remains firm on April 10th, the day of WrestleMania at 3 p.m. So there you go.
I like the idea that it capitalizes on people who are in wrestling mode, because you got the two NXTs and you got the two WrestleManias. You throw a little Impact right in there. It's kind of a change of pace,
yep.
And then you watch our WrestleMania special on Saturday morning, or at noon Eastern Saturday. You got your whole weekend covered.
Well, definitely your Saturday for sure. That's done from noon until whenever WrestleMania goes off the air. So it's crazy. AEW is going to run a house show on April 9th. That's the Friday before WrestleMania. So another interesting move. Tampa and Jacksonville about 3 hours away. Unfortunately for AEW, I have already purchased tickets for indie shows on April 9th, so I won't be heading to that one. So, but interesting. They've never run a house show in like this, in the sense that it's not going to be on television. It's not going to be on BR Live. I'm sure they'll save the footage and do something with it, because I don't think they would waste that material and content. But interesting.
Yeah. Now it's going to be nice to just have like a different crowd in the building. Not that it really matters who's in the building, but just being in a different spot, it'll be fresh.
The other thing that's nice is that outside of the people that live in the Jacksonville area or Florida traveling in, AEW's been running this whole time. And yep, John lost his video. So people get to see me in full living color right now. So hopefully
you can still hear me though, right?
Oh, I can hear you. I do hope you come back though. So anyway, the AEW crowd has been, consisting of people that are in the Jacksonville area and the Florida area, but now, we'll be able to come back and have people from sort of all over the country that are flying in for WrestleMania, if in fact they are flying in for WrestleMania. So, and John is back. All right.
I don't even know what happened there, man. My foot hit a wire, and then my camera went off, but then all of a sudden it's back, and I didn't even touch anything. So
okay, well,
I'm not touching anything.
We're not going to mess with it. Yeah. John is here. We're all happy. He didn't want to talk about that AEW house show, so let's move on. George Barrios, former co-president of WWE, is now the chairman of the board at Make-A-Wish Foundation. Makes sense that he would have had that connection upon exiting WWE. They're a huge WWE themselves are a huge Make-A-Wish people. But that was a huge story when George Barrios and Michelle Wilson left WWE. The stock took a huge tank afterwards, but George Barrios appearing to still, be in big business. So, David Marquez. David Marquez is the president of the United Wrestling Network, and he is the person behind Primetime Live that aired on Fight TV last year. And he was a announcing talent on NWA. He has come out with a statement. Primetime Live they did about 16 episodes or so, and then they stopped on Fight. And he came out with a statement yesterday pertaining to Primetime Live and the future of it. He said, "What we learned is a paywall does not work. No matter how inexpensive we think it may be for the public, it's not going to be financially successful." He's happy as a producer that they weren't too much in the red, but they definitely want to be in the black. So his team has been negotiating with broadcasters, streaming services, and brands to cover the cost of the programming, so we, the consumers, don't have to pay for it to watch it. And he can say now that they're close to closing a deal, and it's his goal to be back on the air by summer. So if you were watching Primetime Live, you may be getting it back pretty soon. And what's interesting about Primetime Live that I liked is that a lot of these people that you see kind of sneaking into the the NXT signings or the people on Dark, a a lot of them were on Primetime Live, even the New Japan Strong shows and stuff like that. So if you watch that show, you have a good flavor of the talent that's going to start coming through. So I appreciate that. It's like a place where everybody scouts. So
yeah, I'm not familiar with Primetime Live at all. This is like really one of the first times I'm hearing it.
Yeah, no. So David Marquez runs Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, Championship Wrestling from Arizona. So he's got a bunch of independent, and then he has this United Wrestling Network that was putting on Primetime Live on Fight TV. So it was a kind of a combination of all those things, and it had a bunch of NWA matches. That's where Thunder Rosa lost the NWA Championship to Serena Deeb. So
okay,
yeah. Thunder Rosa specifically had great matches against Priscilla Kelly, who is now on NXT as I can't remember her name on NXT, but a bunch of actually Zoe Stark was on Primetime Live. That's where I first saw her. So definitely a show that if it becomes free, might be worth checking out. So, John, we have a ton of takeover stuff announced last night. Usually we run through the results of all these shows and, we get into the news as we get through them. But I just pulled all the takeover news out because that is just a pile of stuff for us to go through. They gave us the nights for each. So on night one, the main event is going to be Io Shirai versus Raquel Gonzalez. We knew that going in. But we also have on that card the NXT UK Championship will be decided as Tommaso Ciampa faces off against Walter. So that match should be great. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I love the idea of this match. It's going to rival what Drew and Sheamus have been doing on Monday Night Raw and the pay-per-views lately. I don't see Ciampa taking that title from him, though. This is going to be like the biggest notch on Walter's belt, I think. Yeah.
And it was, last night on NXT, Walter had a match with Drake Maverick. I wouldn't call it a tune-up. I would call it making sure, that maybe the jet lag was gone, but it was a power bomb and a single leg crab that led to a referee stoppage. 2 moves and he's out. Then Ciampa came to the ring and challenged Walter, and Walter put Ciampa down pretty quick. Well, I mean, he had Imperium to help, but so
yeah.
No Killian Dane, no Timothy Thatcher around that situation. So it'll be interesting to see if they kind of insert themselves into the takeover match, though. So,
yeah, I don't know where they're going with the story that they're telling, but it's all going to come to a head at the pay-per-view, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, exactly. We have the NXT Tag Team Championship triple threat match to crown new champions after they were recently vacated by Lorcan and Birch. So we have Legado del Fantasma versus the Grizzled Young Veterans versus MSK. So you got an early winner in that one?
I want to say MSK, but then I want to say Grizzled Young Veterans. I know it's not going to be the Legado. I don't know how they weaseled their way into this match when you got a couple other worthy teams like Breezango, and I guess Dane and Maverick are, occupied right now. But, at least Breezango, I think, should have been involved also.
Yeah, it's a weird situation. How do you get to those 3 teams? But those are the 3 that we got. So, We'll see. I like MSK in this match. I don't know. We'll see. So then we have this Gauntlet Eliminator match on night one. Now the Gauntlet Eliminator is going to be consisting of 6 people that are decided in a battle royal next week. So this is pretty confusing to explain, but you got a 12-man battle royal next week, and the last 6 in that are going to qualify for the Gauntlet Eliminator on night 1 of TakeOver on the USA Network. So the 12 people that we know that are going to be in the Battle Royal are Kushida, LA Knight, Cameron Grimes, Bronson Reed, Austin Theory, Dexter Loomis, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Jake Atlas, Roderick Strong, Tyler Rust, Pete Dunne, and Leon Ruff. So those 12 guys will be whittled down to 6. We'll have a gauntlet match, which is really kind of like Royal Rumble style with pins and submissions on night 1. And then the winner of that will face Johnny Gargano for the North American Championship on night 2. So if you look at that field of 12, John, do you have somebody that sticks out as this is the guy that's going to go all the way to face Johnny Gargano?
If I was making Vegas odds, I'd put all the odds at Loomis. I don't think anybody else really has a shot at this. I'm looking at all of it, like you need a face to win it, most likely. And then it's Dexter Lumis. All the other faces on there are besides Kushida, but he just did a program with Kushida. So I think what this battle royal is going to set up a couple matches probably in the process of setting up what's going on at the pay-per-view also.
Yeah, that's true. And Austin Theory being in this grouping, it does make me it makes me that's the only thing that makes me question the Loomis pick, right? Like, because that's where I would go generally speaking too. But maybe there's something that happens between them and the Battle Royal that prevents that. A couple different ways you could go with it. I mean, Bronson Reed's been on a little bit of a roll. Cameron Grimes has been on a tear lately. Not that he's like won a big huge series of matches, but he's a lot of character work going on there. So
yeah, I was looking through. I wrote him down. I mean, I got Theory getting eliminated by Loomis, I think, and I got Grimes getting eliminated by Roddy Strong because of that little interaction they had.
Okay,
Swerve's going to eliminate Ruff probably, and I think LA Knight's going to eliminate Reed as like revenge for what happened this week. And then I can't think of one. I guess Tyler Rust is the only person that you would, or Kushida. I don't know who else gets eliminated there. Maybe Swerve.
Okay. Well, John Smith has planned out the Rumble or the Battle Royal for everybody. So you heard it here first. Okay, so night 2 of TakeOver, we know Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross. Last night we had a great series of promos between the two of them. Kross talked about beating up Finn Balor or whatever. Then Balor walks out and says, you showed me your weakness last week, that your emotions, and I'm going to take you into the deep waters, and then I'm going to drown you. Did Balor make you a believer, or is Balor going to retain here, John?
Absolutely not. I mean, if this was real life, absolutely not. But I mean, I think it's 50-50 on who they book to win the match at this point. But I'm going with Kross still.
Yeah, I like the option of either way. One thing's for sure. After Mania season, Finn Balor's not going to the main roster, right? So if he loses the title, he's probably staying on NXT, right? Like, he's already done that gig. Kross, we could see him get pulled up or whatever at some point. I think it's too early, but we'll see.
I really don't want to see that. I think we need to be begging for Kross to move up before he moves up.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's kind of been the way it's been for a lot of people. So, Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, they're having an unsanctioned match on night 2. The Cole household knows how to do this. We've had Britt Baker just had her unsanctioned lights out match. Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, equal levels of brutality here, you think?
I think so. And this is unsanctioned lights on, right?
That's right. Lights are on in this match. Yep.
Lights are on because NXT knows how to treat their staff,
and pay their utility bills and all this.
Exactly.
So we have that match. The match that I think that we have in this sort of network been looking forward to the most is this Santos Escobar and Jordan Devlin match. This has been built up since basically the pandemic started, and we're having it as a ladder match, thanks to Mr. Shawn Michaels walking out, as we talked about earlier. So that's the match we wanted. So if they didn't give us that match, we would have just been disappointed, I think. So they originally announced it as just a singles match, and then Shawn Michaels came out to let us know that in the great tradition of WrestleMania week ladder matches, we're going to have one here. So,
and he didn't even need to say a word. You knew from it was all implied, just the way he walked out, placed that in the ring. It's like, just like when him and Razor Ramon had 2 Intercontinental Championships, and they had to put them both up in the rafters to see who could grab them.
Right. It was implied. It was known. It was understood. And then the final match that we have on night 2 is the Gargano versus the Gauntlet Eliminator match, which we already talked about. So, John, there's room, especially on night 2, for at least one more match. And on night 1's on the USA Network, a 2-hour special. Maybe you could get one more in if it's a quick one. But it looks like the card's pretty full, and they even got all those guys, because they're doing that Gauntlet Eliminator. A lot of those guys are going to still be on the card that are part of the mix generally.
Yeah, well, it looks like we got to get a women's tag team championship match. So I think the Way is going to get their shot at that.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for a quick match to put on night one, Xia Li versus Casey and Caden, they could get that done in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, Xia Li doesn't need that long.
Well, it's 2-on-1, so sure. You can't just completely bury Casey and Caden.
But it's Xia Li, she can. Right. All right, so that is Takeover as it's planned right now, with a couple of speculations on what we think might come in on in the next week or so. Let's see, other stuff from last night. Just running through quickly. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, they defeated Zoe Stark and Io Shirai. Gonzalez with the big choke slam on Zoe Stark in the ring, and then the choke slam on Io Shirai through the announce table out of the ring. So that just further sets up the women's title match. You mentioned earlier the Roderick's. Oh yeah, Kyle O'Reilly let Roderick Strong know there's no us anymore. So the Undisputed Era is gone. What you were mentioning.
He didn't have to be so harsh about it. Like, they could still be friends.
Yeah.
Just because Adam Cole did some stupid crap doesn't mean that Roddy has to just lose all of his friends.
Well, especially when you combine that with the promo at the end of the night, because the promo at the end of the night was Kyle O'Reilly saying, "I want my soul back. I sold out everything, to be part of the Undisputed Era, and we were bad guys, and nobody likes us anymore." So what he does 2 hours earlier is just insult Roderick Strong. So it didn't really fit together, but yeah, point well taken. Bronson Reed, Tsunami on LA Knight for the win. Yeah, blew your mind. It was kind of a crazy happening.
Yeah, LA Knight, I saw a little promo he did after the show, on Twitter or whatever. I saw that he blamed the ropes being slick, that somebody sabotaged him. Little Matt Sydal action, maybe.
Michael Nakazawa was there.
Yeah, right. But it wasn't there wasn't anything like that, though. It was just him making excuses. So it was a nice, clean victory for Bronson Reed that none of us were expecting, I think.
Right. We talked through the Walter stuff already. Shotzi and Ember, they got a win over Aaliyah and Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes looking to collect on the rest of that money, though. Robert Stone paid her to be in the match, and she only got half her payment. And then Jordan Devlin got a win over Kushida, and Kushida was not happy about it. So
I would not be happy either if I was Kushida.
Yeah, so Legado del Fantasma came out during the match and caused a little distraction. They pulled Devlin out, and Devlin worked his way around them, got back in the ring, immediately hit an O'Connor roll with a bridge to get the win. But boy, Kushida took out the tag team wrestling for the championship at Takeover Night 1 by himself. So
yeah,
and then we had the Devlin, the Jordan Devlin and Escobar, Shawn Michaels situation. So
right.
All right, that's pretty much it for NXT. And then on the Dynamite side of things, Dynamite, we had another crazy outcome to a match that we didn't see it coming. Tay Conti gets the win over Nyla Rose. Crazy.
Yeah, I don't think any of us saw that one coming either. That might be more of a surprise than the Bronson Reed LA Knight thing.
Yeah, and I even think my notes are wrong. I think my notes say Nyla Rose won because I probably wrote them before the match concluded. But Tay Conti got the win here. And then after the match, Nyla Rose was unhappy, so there's a big scuffle between Rose and Shida, Conti, and Bunny. They all got into a scuffle. And then Matt Hardy came out and he said the Women's World Title Eliminator was a sham because the Bunny wasn't in it. And so I guess we're going to eventually work towards a Ali Bunny versus Hikaru Shida match, or maybe a Tay Conti versus Hikaru Shida match. But next week we have Tay Conti and Shida versus the Bunny and Nyla Rose. So a bunch of other stuff happened. Kenny Omega got a win over Matt Sydal. Hangman Page defeated Cesar Bononi. FTR and Sean Spears beat the Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin. Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid got a win over the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler. And then Kenny Omega came out afterwards. He attacked Laredo Kid after the match, demanded that the Young Bucks throw up the Too Sweet. The Bucks refused. So an interesting situation with the Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid and everything with Kenny Omega. John, I don't know. Do you think how far do you think we're going to go here before we get, how does the Kenny Omega and Young Bucks thing get resolved? Because you're not going to have Kenny versus Matt or Kenny versus Nick. How does this happen? What happens here?
I don't know. It's so hard to tell what direction they go in AEW. I'm never right about what angles are going to be next or who's going to do this and who's going to do that. So I guess I don't know what to say here. Maybe Kenny costs them the titles eventually, and then they have a vendetta against him, but maybe he's got a tag team on his side now. Oh yeah, the Good Brothers. So then it's going to transition into Good Brothers versus the Bucks again, maybe. Yeah.
So I think we got a ways for that before. I don't know how that's going to resolve, but the next big pay-per-view is Double or Nothing at the end of May. So theoretically, we should build towards that. Darby Allin got his win over John Silver. Darby Allin retained, big brawl at the end, but Darby Allin got through John Silver. So.
Oh, this was their chance to make us all happy, man. I mean, a lot of us like Darby Allin, but all of us like John Silver.
Yeah.
Johnny Hungry needs that title on him.
It was a good match, though. I liked the match. So,
I was thoroughly entertained by it. I just would have liked, even for the Dark Order to play a part in it and make it a screw job if you want. But I would have loved to have seen him holding up that title at the end of the night.
Yeah. But I don't think Darby Allin's done, with the whole Dark Order situation. I think there's going to be more going on there. Matt Hardy and his whole crew, they attacked Darby Allin. A big brawl between the Hardy family office and the Dark Order afterwards. So you got faction warfare all over AEW. You've got the Hardy family office and the Dark Order. You've got the Inner Circle and Pinnacle. You've got all these crazy factions that are going to be going up against each other. So it'll be interesting. Maybe they have a faction-based show or something coming our way because a lot of feuds. You also have Team Taz in the mix. So all good stuff. So that's Dynamite. It was eventful. I know we didn't really spend as much time on it today, and I'm sure I will with Travis on Tuesday. But a lot of news out of NXT, a lot of news in general. John, it's trivia time, if you are ready, sir.
Uh-oh. Probably not.
All right. You are going to get 5 questions. A simple majority correct will get you the win. If you win, you get the Goldberg Oscar Award. If you lose, you get a Hawkins. The topic of the day, the topic du jour, is WrestleMania 23. Detroit. Let's see how you do. Okay, so the Money in the Bank ladder match opened the WrestleMania, and I'm going to ask you who won it. And I'm going to give you all the choices. Mr. Kennedy, CM Punk, Edge, Finley, Jeff Hardy, King Booker, Matt Hardy, Randy Orton, or Bushwhacker Luke. This was one of on the Essential Wrestling podcast. This was one of Al's top 30 WrestleMania matches.
Was it?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and assume it was the first ever one, and so then it's got to be Edge.
It wasn't the first, and it was Mr. Kennedy.
Kennedy, that's what I was going to say, and then, damn it, then you said something about Al liking it, so I thought it was the first one.
This person sang America the Beautiful at both WrestleMania 3 and here at WrestleMania 23. Your choices are Gladys Knight, Aretha Franklin, Cyndi Lauper, or Alice Cooper.
Aretha Franklin?
Aretha Franklin. You are one for 2. Bobby Lashley with Donald Trump defeated Umaga with Vince McMahon in a hair versus hair match. Who was the special guest referee? Your choices are Armando Estrada, Rikishi, Steve Austin, or Triple H.
Steve Austin.
It was Steve Austin. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen this WrestleMania, to be honest with you. This was like a short period of time where I stopped watching wrestling for a couple of years.
So The Undertaker defeated Batista to win the World Heavyweight Championship. What was his WrestleMania record after the match? Was it 10-0, 5-0, 20-0, or 15-0?
15-0.
15-0 is correct. Okay, final question. Kane lost on this card. Who had the honor of defeating him? Your options are John Cena, Shawn Michaels, The Great Khali, Tajiri, or Bushwhacker Butch. I know you want to say Bushwhacker Butch. I can read it. I can read it on you.
Can you just list them one more time? I'm sorry.
Sure. John Cena, Shawn Michaels, The Great Khali, Tajiri, or Bushwhacker Butch.
Khali.
It was Khali. There's your two Hall of Famers in a match at WrestleMania 23. Khali goes over. So now we know. We started the show talking about how more deserving Kane was, but the Great Khali got the victory here. So. All right, so let's add it up. You got that question. So you went 4 out of 5 on a WrestleMania that you're not even sure you saw. So,
and I would have went 5 for 5, but you gave me incorrect information. If you're looking at the private chat over here from Al.
Well, I was just wrong about what was on his list, but I was not wrong about the answer. So, well, you get this. Sorry, almost gave you a perfect plex, but you
should have been a perfect plex.
All right, well, there you go. That's our show for the day. A couple of things before we get out of here, though. Let's start with the Dropkick t-shirt. Dropkick t-shirt is our shirt of the month. It is $20. It's a great shirt. You can see there a dropkick being performed in this illustrated concept. These are the characters that you see up on the right-hand corner of the show every day. A lot of fun. $20 for any size. It's the super soft style already. Includes shipping. Go out and get your shirt. There's a bunch of other shirts out there too. BodySlamClothes.com. You can listen to the Primetime Rundown with Joey Jarzenka, Ian Schreier, and Rob DeLuca every Friday. They take you through the world of sports. The show kicks off at 6 p.m. on the Eastern Observer. Again, that's Fridays for your sports show, the Primetime Rundown. The Essential Wrestling Podcast, we've referred to it a couple times on this show. It is hosted by Al Carl, and John Smith is there every week. I'm there every week. John DeConnie, Gary Mahaffey. We return every week on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. to take you through a week of updates and highlights in the world of wrestling. Again, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on the Eastern Observer. And then this show, the Daily Wrestling News Show, is every day at 10 a.m., Monday through Thursday, occasionally on Friday as well. And, we have fun. We go through the news. We do trivia. John goes 4 for 5 on trivia. It's a good time every day, Monday through Thursday. Get it here on Facebook, on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere you watch or listen to shows. John, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I actually have a little word of advice for all you wrestling fans out there. And this one is actually wrestling related for once. So usually I just go facts of life on you guys, but I've been having trouble watching both shows in one night on Wednesdays, and I've finally figured out a good formula for it. You watch the first half hour of AEW, then you switch over to NXT that you're recording, then you have a half hour's worth of commercials that you could fast forward, which is all the commercials of NXT. Then when you go back into AEW, you're already a half hour in, and you can fast forward to the rest of their stuff. And if your TV provider makes you watch the commercials, they're much shorter on AEW than they are on NXT for some reason. When you watch on the DVR, it's only a minute on TNT, and it's all 3.5 minutes on USA. So that's how I've been getting my AEW and NXT in the past couple weeks.
Now that is a pro tip for sure. All right, let's get out of here. John, thank you very much. Great show today. For John, I'm Ryan, and we will see you next week on Monday.